Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse and more specifically from beautiful Danville, Illinois. And this is Midday with Rev Don, and welcome. I'm glad to have you here um, in my virtual office, which is also my real office. And we are going to have a lovely talk as we do each afternoon. And I thank you for joining me. And as always, whatever platform you may be watching this on, you can join the conversation by typing your questions or comments directly on that platform, and they'll show up here in my chat room and we can interact. I hope you're having a lovely day. And here in Danville, we've had quite a bit of rain the last few days, which was very much needed. But today is a nice day, still rather cool, which is good. Right after we made the move, it was some of the hottest days on record for those dates in this area. So it's nice to have cooler weather. Hello to Mary in the chat room. Good to see you, Mary. Today, I thought I would talk a bit about the crystal web. And of course, we will see where else the conversation may take us. You never know. This year, the crystal web will be 35 years old. Sir Edward started the crystal web on August 8th of 1988, which was one of the harmonic convergences. I don't know if you remember the harmonic convergences. They're a phenomenon that still continues, but they have to do with the alignment of certain planets and cosmic powers, and they were particularly auspicious days for creating this sort of engine. And the crystal web was created with the intention of connecting people, bringing spiritual people together, and it certainly has done that over the years. Hello to Renee in the chat room. Good to see you, Renee. The crystal web has united all kinds of people around the world. There are crystal access points, even in Antarctica. There are, I believe, 2 in Antarctica. And the crystal web, of course, is a means of storing and conveying energy for all the purposes you can use energy for. Its primary purpose was always communication and alignment. Hello to Janet in the chat room. And Janet says, Merry Midday Meet. Very cool. And you know, the crystal web continues to grow, continues to expand around the world. I entered the crystal web I and the Correllian tradition became affiliated with the crystal web at the solar eclipse in 1992 or 1993. It was many years ago. And hello to Elizabeth in the chat room. Oh, who is actually Lilith. Hello, Lilith. Good to see you. And we created a master access point here in Danville, which as far as I know should still be there. And we tied in a number of other existing crystals that had been created for other purposes into the continuing expansion of the web, and it's expanded ever since. But of course, it was Sir Edward who actually created it. Janet says, I just buried my crystal in a witch's jar a couple of days ago. And Kimberly, oh, hi, Kim. It's good to see you. Kim says, I remember a ritual in Hoopston with the crystal web. Yes, we had created a master access point in Hoopston as well, which also, I believe, has been verified as still being there. And hello to Asidionis in the chat room. Good to see you. Kim is the former maiden priestess at Pure Sanctuary Temple. I've known her forever. I'm looking forward to seeing her soon. Hello to Bradley in the chat room. Lovely person. And if you go to Correllian.com, you can find Kim in some of the adventures from the Midwest on the adventure page. We had some lovely adventures together. We once held lustration on her ritual property. And at that time, she had a beautiful circle surrounded by tree stumps, or not tree sections that just was very beautiful in atmosphere. And you know, when I reflect on my life, I've known so many wonderful people. And on my birthday, we did a gratitude list that didn't begin to reach all of them. But I did mention many people. But there are so many more people who could have been on that list. But the crystal web brings many of those people together energetically. Hello to Janet in the chat room. We have multiple Janets in the chat room, which is lovely. And it's a very powerful psychic tool and engine. And Kim says a tree had fallen and was recycled for the circle. And it was just beautiful. In association with the 35th anniversary, we have just this very day put up a new product in the form of a crystal web mini booklet, which you can find at Corellian.com. It's currently on Sir Edward's page. And this is a pocket-sized booklet containing the process to create a crystal access point, at least the one that's commonly used in a ritual context. And it also comes with two crystals, one that you can use for your crystal access point, and one that can be a remote access point that you carry with you or keep on your altar, or otherwise serves to help keep you connected. And you'll find this at Corellianpublishing.com. And I'm going to link it to my page as well, so that if you want one, you can get one. And they are currently priced at $9.99, which includes the two crystals. And if you've purchased crystal points, you will know that this is not at all a bad price and includes shipping. So we have that coming out, and we're hoping to see a lot of people receive these and be brought into the crystal web. We want to see it continue to expand around the world. We want to see it continue to grow and to bring people together in an energetic sense. This world has more than enough separating people. Anything that helps to bring them together is surely good. And the crystal web has been doing that for 35 years. And come August 8th, I believe there will be some festivities for that 35th anniversary. And we're hoping to see a great increase in crystal web activity. And here in central Illinois, there are crystal web access points all over the place. But as I say, they're also all over the world. We have them in Africa, in the Philippines, in South America, in Europe, all the way up in Canada, all the way down in Antarctica. And if you're wondering about the story of Antarctica, Antarctica does not have a permanent population. It has a population at a particular base that gets switched out every few months. And on two separate occasions, we've had people at that base who created crystal access points that they informed us of. There could be others that we don't know about. And Mary says, nice, as soon as this is over, I will get mine. I love being part of the crystal web. Thank you, Mary. That's a wonderful thing. And, I love being part of the crystal web too. And we've often used it, particularly in association with the peace prayer. Since for many years, we've been doing the peace prayer. And I will grant you, sometimes you look at the world and say, how much good has this done? But the other question is, how much worse could things be if we weren't doing regular prayers for peace? And we've always acknowledged that perfect peace is not to be expected from this prayer, only more peace. And I don't know that we don't have more peace because of it, even though we would certainly always like to have still more than we've got. So we must continue using that peace prayer to keep putting out the energies of love and peace and combating the energies of fear and hate. And very often the crystal web has been a central part of doing that. It's also been used for healing in times of crisis, can be used for communication, it can be used for all manner of things. And again, its original purpose was simply to bring people together and to give them that common energetic link, which it certainly has done. Janet asks if we have yet had the opportunity to add a new crystal access point in the new home. We have not done that yet here, but I suspect perhaps for the anniversary. But we do have the crystal web remote access point in the silver altar that connects to the many remote access to the many master access points that have been created through a remote link. And the thing about the crystal web is you don't have to be physically at your access point to use it. You just have to have an energetic connection to that access point. That does not require anything physical, but many people will have another crystal that they keep to help them connect to their access points. Because it can be good to have that physical artifact. In my case, for my 40th anniversary, as first priest of the Corellian tradition, one of the many gifts that I received was a beautiful silver altar. And I have used that as my personal crystal web altar. Or maybe I should say for my household crystal web altar. And it's a beautiful piece that I've always been very grateful for receiving it. And, I've always associated the color silver with the crystal web personally because of the energy. And certainly, I've had many adventures with the crystal web, as have so many people. And one of the things we've often done in association with the crystal web is to open the web as a whole at times of unique cosmic significance. I mentioned the solar eclipse of 92 or 93, whichever one it was. It's been a few years. When we were in Salem during those years, there was I believe a solar and lunar eclipse that we opened the crystal web for and created 2 stones uniquely charged with that energy. And you can do this also. You can open your access point during times of unique energy and charge an additional crystal that you can carry or have on your altar with that energy using the web to access it more effectively. There are a lot of things you can do with the web. And again, if you have not created a crystal web access point, the booklet that we are now making available contains the instructions to do so, and also 2 crystals that you can use, one to bury and one to carry. And I think you'll find it very rewarding to do that. And this is one of the many things that we are bringing out now. We also have the 5 Mystic Secrets Multilingual Edition that has just come out. I have a number of copies I'll be mailing in the next few days for people who have already bought it. And it's now in stock. If you would like a copy, you can find it at CorellianPublishing.com. There's also a link on my Facebook page to it. That is there. I am looking at bringing out Volume 3 of Rev Don's Book of Questions in the very near future. And of course, I'm also selling the original artwork for the Tarot of Hecate through my Facebook page if you're interested in having any of that. And I appreciate the great support everyone has shown me, and I'm very grateful for it. And I'm also now again offering readings. If you'd like to have a reading, you can instant message me and set something up. And of course, we have my Patreon. And if you're not familiar with my Patreon, you can find it at revdonlewis.com. We have a number of features available there, including the Monday night chat room, which is now on Patreon, a monthly newsletter that will be coming out in the next few days, a monthly surprise offering that will be coming out a little later in the month, and a monthly seminar, which this month is scheduled for the 24th of June, which is a Saturday. And we'll be on the subject of the theory and practice of magic, what it is, how to do it, why to do it. how it works, all those things we will be talking about in that seminar. And if you're interested in attending the seminar but don't necessarily want to be part of the Patreon, tickets are available through CorellianPublishing.com for $25. I plan to be offering a seminar every month at this point, at least at this time, and they'll be on all sorts of different subjects. And if you have something you'd like to hear me speak on the subject of seminars, by all means, let me know what it is. There are so many different things that can be spoken of at depth. One of the things that I'm hoping to do at this stage in my life is more direct personal teaching. Once again, direct personal reading, which I had not done for some years except for charitable events. And of course, writing more books, doing more artwork. And if you were interested in a copy of Rev Don's Super Omnibus, you can find those also at CorellianPublishing.com. The paperback copy, but also we do have available some extra copies of the collectible copy, of which we only did 125. And those are available there, signed and numbered, if you're interested in having one. So we have been quite busy bringing out a variety of things. And again, I'm very grateful to everyone who has bought any of these things. I thank you for your support. It's an interesting time, an interesting reset to my life. We were talking the other day about how in the Chinese system, the 60th year is considered a total reset because the Chinese astrological cycle takes 60 years to complete. Janet says she's waiting for the return of the infinite tarot, and we're hoping to bring that back later this year. A lot of people have expressed interest in that, and it is on the list. But it requires a certain minimum order that we have to build up to. Many of the things that we offer can be ordered on demand, which makes them a little bit easier to bring forth. But the tarot still requires that minimum order, and Janet says that she is on pins and needles waiting for it. And it will come. It certainly will come. And Bradley says, it's a beautiful deck. I love it. And I'm glad for that, Bradley. I am looking forward to having that back in print. And we have all sorts of things. And when I stop and think about all the things I've done over the years, it's there have been a lot of them. And many are available at CorellianPublishing.com, including the video tarot course from many years ago. And the degree books, all the degree books are there. A number of the smaller expansion sets of tarot cards are still available. And the omnibus I mentioned, tarot with Rev Don, tarot reversals with Lady Crystal. My goodness, that was many years ago when we did that. And oh, so many different things. And it's interesting to stop and think back across the years at the different things we have done. And very interesting to find myself back here after all these years. I'm happy to be back, but it's the last thing I expected, certainly in the way that it happened. But sometimes spirit takes a hand. But getting back to the crystal web, I think that we're going to find that the future, and Kim says you have come full circle. It's true. It is absolutely full circle. I think that we'll see far greater things from the crystal web in the future than have already occurred. I think we'll see far more people using it and using it in more interesting and creative ways. The crystal web and what can be done with it. It's very new. And what its full potential is, I don't know that any of us really understand. It is a global energetic network of what are effectively um, um, synthetic ley lines that are created through these crystals and the energy that links them. And in theory, it will, um, as the human race expands beyond planet Earth, certainly continue with them. At least if we have our way, and it will embrace more than just the Earth as time goes forward. Because I mean, certainly we will expand beyond the physical Earth, and that will bring many changes and challenges of its own, particularly for Earth-based religions. But you know, when we use the term Earth-based religion, I have never perceived that as Earth-limited religion, but rather that we have a focus on the natural world and the natural cycles. Um, when I was doing the vlog, I had people ask me about things like astrology for other planets or for space-going civilization, or how space-going civilization would approach seasonal rituals, and would it be the same or different from what we do? And I thought these were um, fascinating questions. And I think that certainly over time we will learn the answers, and in the sense of reincarnation, we will create the answers. But from the point of view of our temporal consciousness, we probably won't know what future generations will do. But we can be certain they will do what they need to do, and they will find a way. And Bradley says, I had fun creating a guided meditation for an astral crystal web access point, which is wonderful. And that was a beautiful thing, Bradley. And Kimberly asks, how do these synthetic ley lines interact with natural ley lines? And the answer is, in some cases, they overlap. Some of the crystal web access points have been created at natural vortices, as well as being synthetic vortices in their own right. So they do interact, but they don't follow the natural ley lines, they augment them. And you know, a lot of those natural ley lines may not be that natural. A lot of them seem to be created by human or animal activity that caused linkages between energetic vortices. And this has been part of the theory of ley lines since the beginning. Many of them are simply natural features, but many others are created through use. And over time, they become natural because they simply take on that characteristic as if they have always been there. And I believe the crystal web is doing the same thing. We know that we have created the majority of these energetic connections, but they will continue without us. They take on, because of the way they're created, they take on their own life. They take on their own existence. Years from now, if we do not adequately pass down the knowledge, there may be future metaphysical investigators discovering the crystal web and assuming it was always there. But I believe we'll pass down the knowledge of its creation and how we use it adequately to avoid that mistake. But even so, if you were out hunting ley lines today, how would you know the difference between a crystal web ley line and a natural ley line? And the answer is, I don't know that you would. I suppose if you were very sensitive to energy, you might notice a difference in the energy, but you'll also notice that difference in the energy of every ley line, because each one really is individual and has its own energy. So I don't know that you would realize that you had found a synthetic ley line created as part of the crystal web, or any other sort of ley line. And in fact, when ley lines were first discovered, they were believed to have to do with prehistoric trading networks and to have been created through the physical use of these over the course of centuries. Now, is that necessarily true? Well, sometimes I think it is, and sometimes it's not. And certainly some of them are just purely natural. Many yin ley lines commonly follow rivers, for example. But the yang ley lines, I think, are constantly created. And I think yin ley lines sometimes created when you're working with those energies. Um, so to me, the idea of a synthetic ley line is nothing unusual. And when we talk about vortices, we know that there are certain natural vortices in the world and many others that are created. Every temple is arguably a created vortex, but doesn't necessarily last all that long, depending on how it's being used and how it's being held onto. If you cast a magic circle, you've created a vortex. But when you take it down, you've also dispersed that vortex. Whereas with temples, often you just keep building the energy. And hello to Patty in the chat room. And Patty says, hi there. Can you explain the difference between a vortex and a ley line? And the answer to that is that a vortex is a specific spot where energy is particularly intense. In the synthetic sense, a magic circle is an excellent example of a vortex. Hello to Carolyn in the chat room. Good to see you. It's an example. If you've ever heard of a house that has picked up a positive or negative charge, that is a kind of vortex also. But also certain sites like at Sedona, there are famous vortices, which have particularly intense energy for certain purposes. I believe Glastonbury is a famous example of a vortex. A ley line, on the other hand, is like a meridian that connects the different vortices. And what I would compare them to are, in the body, we have the same phenomenon, but different words for it. So we speak of chakras in the body and meridians that connect them. In the earth, we speak of vortices and ley lines that connect them, but it's the same idea. So if you understand a chakra as an energy center of the body and a meridian as the pathway between the different chakras, the major chakras and the minor chakras, that carries that energy throughout the body, that's also the difference between a vortex and a ley line. And the crystal web is a network of thousands of synthetic vortices and thousands of synthetic ley lines that connect them all around the world. It's its own neural network that has been laid over the planet, if you want to think of it in those terms, specifically for metaphysical use, for spiritual use. And again, now in its 35th year, which is a sobering thing to think of, and a wonderful thing to have accomplished. And congratulations to Sir Edward for having created this hugely useful metaphysical tool. And with that, I see we've come to the end of our half hour. I want to thank everyone for joining me. And Patty says, it's amazing that you started talking about vortex as I typed that. And she says the explanation is clear. Thank you, Patty. And it is interesting that that those two things did correspond. But psychic connection over the internet can be just as strong as in person. And this is why we can offer readings over the internet. And again, if anyone would like a reading with me, direct message me through Facebook or email me at donlewishp@aol.com and we can set one up. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to thank you for joining me every day. And I love this time we spend together. I love all of you. I love talking with you. And I love the fact that this is an interactive platform. It is a great joy to have these conversations. I hope it is for you as well. With that, let us close with our prayer. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do in our lives. And we ask you to help us to stay connected to those people and things that give us joy in our lives, and help us to have all the things that we need. May they flow like energy through meridians and through ley lines, filling our personal vortices with prosperity and joy. And Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you now and always, and we know you're always with us. but from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. And I thank you for your presence. I love spending this time with you, and may you be blessed now and always.